Hello and welcome to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. Now, each week I am joined by a very special guest here at the Mount Street restaurant where Jamie Shears, the executive chef, and the team serve up a couple of spoons of something. Something they've said they like and something they say they hate. Or maybe dislike a little bit. Difference is they'll be blindfolded. Taking on the spoons this week is a fox. No, not Basil Brush or a doctor, but Jason Fox, who is here to talk about his fantastic new book, Embrace the Chaos. So please give a warm spooning welcome to Jason Fox.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, that's a great intro.
Not what?
Basil
Not
Brush or the doctor.
Something Fox. You know, we've got to play with the name a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, you and I have a lot in common. I mean, I think it's obvious to anyone who's seen us standing next to each other. We're very similar physically, obviously, but we share a number of things. One, we both hated school.
Yeah.
Two, we like immersing ourselves in cold water in the morning.
Yes.
And three, we both learned as we've got older to not shy away from chaos and embrace it. And I love this book, and you can see, because I read it.
It's dog-eared.
It's dog-eared. The amount of pages I folded, I love that, folded down the page. I love that, I folded down the page. But we'll get to the book, because, you know, so what I wanted to ask you was, you know, when you sort of dropped out of school and went into the army, did you ever end up thinking you would end up here, doing this, doing what you're doing now?
No. I didn't think I'd end up anywhere. I mean, the decision to join the military was, it sort of happened over a period of time when I realised that I was going to fail my GCSEs, or, you know, people used to look at GCSEs, and if you didn't get an O-level pass, that's it, it's failed. They never say you fail, you just get a terrible grade. Yeah. And when I realised that was happening, I was like, crikey, I need something else. I'm not going to be able to get a normal job. And the only thing that sprung to mind, because my dad had been in the military as well, was to join up.
Yeah, but I mean, both your parents were in the forces.
Yeah.
Mum was in the Navy?
Mum was in the Navy, my dad was in the Marines. That's how they met, apparently. She was the pay wren. The pay wren, they used to sign off people's money. Obviously, you know, quite a...
Attractive
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to be friendly with a pay wren. And my dad was in the Marines, yeah. And so there was definitely an influence. You know, they used to talk a little bit about their time in the military.
Yeah. So one of the things we have in common is our dislike of school and education. And I think we sort of hit that point around a similar age, which was around sort of 14, 15. It's like, this doesn't suit me. You seem to veer off into physical exercise. I unfortunately veered off into drink and drugs. We'll talk about that later. But do you think that physical side of you is part of what's saved you at that point in your life?
I think so. I wasn't. I was quite a skinny, dweeby.
Hard to believe.
I know, but I'm naturally a spindly individual. So it wasn't that my physicality saved me, but my like for physical stuff and being outdoors probably did. I was going down. I mean, I grew up in Luton, which is.
It's got an airport.
It's got an airport. It's got an airport. There are better places, but that's not me
Lorraine
saying anything
Chase
bad.
Luton
Airport. But I was sort of getting into trouble. I was hanging out with the wrong people, and somehow I had the presence of mind to realise that school didn't work, and I needed to find something that did. And for me, the only option seemed to be the military. I don't know. I think there was something about getting into trouble that didn't sit right with me. I wasn't comfortable with it. I think some people are. I wasn't.
Yeah, but so you joined the military, and you know, having read this book and read a lot about you, you do appear to enjoy discipline. Or is that just something you've had to embrace?
I struggled with discipline in the beginning. I think most people do, didn't they? I think as a youngster you struggle, you try and test your boundaries. I think me joining the military was about making sure I had boundaries, but I still struggled with discipline. But then over time I realised that it was key to being good at my job, and it then obviously transpires that it's actually quite key to
quite strange to have that sense of self that you realised that's what you needed. I mean, it took me till I was about in my mid-20s to work out what I needed.
But I think it was more, we go back, I think it was more to do with my dislike. I wasn't comfortable with getting into trouble. So I had to embrace that.
Yeah, I kind of ran towards it for a long time.
Yeah.
The other thing we have in common is a fear of heights.
Mine's more, I now call it a healthy respect. It makes me sound less of a scaredy cat.
Well, I mean, I have to embrace it because I've got a teenage son who, I mean, tears me limb from limb at anything to do with it. And when I was his age, I had no problem throwing myself off anything or jumping through stuff. And I remember really clearly, I mean, it's a slightly terribly middle-class story, this, but it was on a Ferris wheel in the Place de Concorde in Paris, the first time I ever got vertigo, and I was in my mid-30s. So I look up, I see this split pin holding the bucket that we're suspended in, and I just lost it. Ended up with my head between my legs, panicking like crazy, obviously with my loving wife laughing hysterically at me because she couldn't.
And is it because you suddenly realised that your life was being held together by that?
I suppose it's that thing, a lack of control.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you refer to in that book of like, you know, because I think as you get older, what you understand is really the only thing you can control is you.
Yeah.
And how you react to things. But you are a man who, it strikes me, embraces your fear and confronts your fears.
Yeah. I have to force myself to do it sometimes. Like, we can all get quite comfortable. When I get comfortable, that's when I get scared. I'm like, oh, no, hang on a minute. I need to do something that's going to take me out of my comfort zone.
But a lot of people, so when I started to read the book, I was sort of reading through, and it's like, God, you really are presenting the reader with a set of challenges here. It's like, don't sit there and expect it to happen.
Yeah.
Is really kind of a theme running throughout it, unless I'm misinterpreting.
No, it is.
And, you know, a lot of us, I mean, certainly when you get to my age, I'm quite comfortable. But there's another part of me that is very comfortable in the fact that I'm a work in progress till the day I die. And I suppose I do challenge myself in certain ways, but not to the degree you do.
Yeah, but it's all relative, isn't it? If you're challenging yourself and you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. That's the other point, is everyone's like, oh, whatever he's done stuff, whatever he's going to talk about is irrelevant to me. And I'm like, no, I'm just sort of like taking my piece and overlaying it onto, you know, getting you to overlay it onto your piece. So you're doing the same things. You're not doing the same things, but you're experiencing the same journey.
The same feelings, the same fears,
exactly.
The same anxieties. I mean, one of the fears I have is, you know, I have a son who's currently 17. And one of my fears is actually, and it's something that we're sort of not allowed to talk about a bit anymore, is I worry for men in general. I worry about the messaging. I worry about how we're supposed to be, you know, because you present and worked with and continue to work in what would be described as a very alpha environment.
Yeah.
And that can present a certain way of being to men that some might find difficult to achieve. But, you know, I agree with pretty much everything you've said in this book. I mean, you know, the amount of pages that I have folded down because buy on that, buy on that, buy on that. It is a really good guide of how to sort of conduct yourself. But I think we are missing role models as men. You know, we're missing I just think the messaging is confusing, and that also that section that you talk about in the book, which relates to our phones and how toxic they are to us. You know, they call them smartphones, but they actually make you dumber.
Yeah.
And you get people, you know, who I find abhorrent, like Andrew Tate, coming through those channels and giving the wrong kind of messaging about what it is to be an alpha male.
Yeah.
You know,
the thing is, I think the messaging behind telling men what they should and shouldn't be doing is unhelpful, because it puts when people are told what to do, puts their back up, and they look for a different input of information. They look for something that's going to tell them not to not do something. And so I think the problem lies there with people saying you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't feel like this, when actually blokes should be told it's all right to feel like that, it's all right to want to do this, want to do that, but you should look at what impact you doing certain things has on other people. Don't be a because that's all it is.
What I like about how you present is you are not, you know, despite your obvious, what could be perceived as alpha male status, you're not afraid to get vulnerable. You're not afraid to be true to how you're actually feeling. And I think that's so important in terms of messaging for men.
Yeah. I feel that I got stronger when I started to be vulnerable. And that doesn't necessarily mean you've got to go around and be vulnerable to every person you come across, but at least be vulnerable to yourself and accept that you have got vulnerabilities. And it was the first time I started to really fix myself after a bad bout of mental health, was actually being honest with myself and saying there is a problem and you need to now go on a journey of, I hate that word, but a journey of self-discovery.
Well, I think
to find out what it is
that
you
thing
need.
of the term of going on a journey has been slightly destroyed of late, because it is, you know, life is a journey, and you either choose to take it or cop out and just end up sitting there. And you refer to that in the book, where you just accept it as it is, and you rot, you know, that kind of life A, life B bit in the book. Choose B. You know, and I do choose B, because not in the same way as you, but that what I really identified with was that thing of stuff is happening to you, and it was, you know, in a war zone for you. Stuff is happening to you, and you're not acknowledging it. You're not acknowledging the feelings. Not essentially, you push them down.
Yeah,
Eventually, they come around and bite you in the arse, which you found around about. Was it what year did that happen to you?
So I'd been suppressing all that stuff for a long time, but it was more than that as well. I was also not really dealing well. In fact, I don't think any of us do, dealing with everyday life. I'd never been taught to deal with that. I'd been taught to go war fighting. No one had taught me how to have an argument with a missus, or deal with divorce, or the washing machine breaking down. You know, it can
Johnny, the producer, had a very good tip for arguing with your partner.
Go on.
You both lie down and have the discussion.
Really?
Yeah, both lie down next to each other. Then you're on an even playing field.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea of that.
I'm going to try it. I don't really want to. I don't know. Maybe we'll see how it goes. I don't want to start an argument just to test the theory.
I think just try and recall that piece of information.
Yeah,
the next time you find that yourself in that uncharacteristic position with the one that you love, is lie down. Now, so you were in a difficult kind of space as a young man, and you behaved badly, but it didn't sit well with you. But I've got something here for you that I want you to just smell. Smell that, and does that bring back any memories? Give it.
I'm looking at it.
Give it a smell. Give it a smell.
Thing is, the look of it makes me feel sick. Oh Jesus!
What is that?
That, if it is the same brand as Bacardi.
Yes.
White rum.
Horrible. horrible. It's one of those. It's one of those spirits. I think everybody at some point has had a bad time on. But you had
Bacardi.
Yeah.
See, yeah, I know. People say to me, "Do you want a Bacardi and Coke?" I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me."
So you can't drink that anymore
No, I can't touch it.
because you once drank a whole bottle on your own as a teenager,
Yeah.
and ended up naked at school.
Shimmers. So I'm gonna, it'd be interesting to know whether anyone that can recall this, that witnessed it, remembers this. I'm sure they do. I think it was like our last day of school-ish, before we went on study leave to then, go through your exams. We were supposed to be in school, and there was me, 2 other lads, and 3 girls, and we bunked off. And we were just wandering the streets. It was in the summer, it was really nice weather, wandering the streets, wondering what to do, and then someone was like, right, let's go and get some booze and meet back at the wreck. Now, there was most places have a wreck. There was a big grass mound, like a hill that the BMXers used to come over and whatnot. And we were like, right, we'll meet back at behind the hill in like an hour or whatever. Now we all bomb burst, we split up. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to buy booze. At 15, I looked about 2, and I was just like, so I'm wandering around, I'm like,
Those who are watching this will find that hard to believe.
yeah, I know. Mate, I was really young up until a certain point, then it just went to Anyway, I thought, I can't buy booze. I'm never going to. Anyway, I remembered, right, I'll go home, Dad's drinks cabinet. So I opened the drinks cabinet, and there wasn't really much in there at the time, other than an unopened bottle of Bacardi.
For a reason.
Yeah, I was like that, right, I'm having that. In it went, off I went. Got back to the wreck. And everyone else had got hold of, like, Diamond White, the old, big bottles of cider.
2.5 litre bottle of
2.5
Diamond White.
litres of,
That's an afternoon in waiting, isn't it?
There was a few of them. We had a pack of Marlboros, and we just got stuck in. And I can remember the sun was beating down at us. It was my first experience of being shedded. And then we ran out of booze, and we were still in the bubble, having fun, chatting away. And we didn't know what to do about the booze situation. I was like, well, pulled the bottle of Bacardi out, and took a swig, and no one else was interested. And I proceeded to drink the whole bottle. Then I was obviously absolutely baggage, and proceeded to crawl about, I don't know, a mile back to school, into the class I was supposed to be in.
Strange that your instinct was to go back to school.
I don't know what was going on there. That bit I can't work out, but crawled back to school, into the class I was supposed to be in, which was geography. Fortunately, my geography teacher, he liked me, a guy called Mr. Draper. I think he liked me. And he was, I can't really remember, but I remember he was like, you should go to the toilet. So I went to the toilets, and it was then that the rest of the school had obviously found out, and they've just piled into the toilets, and I was sat naked on the toilet. They're all like coming over the tops, looking at me.
What point did your clothes fall off?
I don't know. Just took them off. And then he got hold of one of the deputy heads, who was sound as well, and that he drove me home. But literally, the bit I can remember was me trying to put the seat belt in, and he was just like, and then it literally was a rolling drop off. He like got to the house, boom, kicked me out.
Now, how did your dad deal with that? Was your dad strict? Being a military man, was he strict?
He was a disciplinarian, but he was good fun with it. So, as an example, that I can remember once when we were very young, me and my brother didn't want to go to sleep summer, and he was like, "Fine, if you don't want to go to sleep, that's fine by me, but you'll be running up and down the stairs until I tell you to stop." And we were like, "Ooh, this is brilliant." He just let us crack on. He went back and watched TV, came back out 2 hours later, and he was like, "Right, you ready for bed?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Go on then, off you go." So he was like that, but so my mum answered the door when I knocked on it, and she was like, "Oh, have a good day at school." And then I was just like, she was like, "Gee." And I ended up getting my stomach pumped. And
Christ.
And my dad, whenever, came in, and he was like, "You owe me a bottle of Bacardi." That's all he said. I still haven't bought it for him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll give you the one we've got here. We'll pour that back in, because nobody's going to drink that, because it is filth. I have a similar experience with Southern Comfort, which I drank a bottle of that once, and I think it's customary that you just for whatever reason, end up naked. But we won't, we won't dwell on that. Now, food is a big part of how you keep yourself in good condition, right? And in the book, you talk about the importance of nutrition, and you go into being consistent with that.
I'm not a nutritionist, I'd like to add.
No, but you've eaten enough to know what is good for you and what isn't.
And we're all our own nutritionists.
Yeah.
Theoretically, we should know what agrees and what doesn't agree.
Well, because it is different for everybody.
Exactly.
I like the tip I like is, do you know Professor Tim Spector?
I don't.
So he's the guy who wrote that book Spoon-Fed, which is a fantastic book on the subject of sort of,
which I do know.
So, but his thing is try and eat 30 different plants a week, and people go, I can't think of 30 different vegetables, but it's not. It's herbs, spices, seeds, nuts, fruit, blah blah. And it's quite an interesting challenge to do, and you find that's supposed to be brilliant for your gut health, because that's your furnace.
Yeah.
So if you don't feed your furnace properly, the other thing we have in common is a loathing of all things McDonald's.
Yeah. I still dabble in fast food every once in a while, but it doesn't.
Well, one of the things you dabbled in, you thought fast food was a guinea pig, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was abroad. I thought I was being adventurous. Turned out it was a stupid move. Yeah, that was spatchcock deep-fried guinea pig.
You share that with one of our other guests, which is Helen Skelton. She's eaten guinea pig. She didn't like it either. So it turns out, I think you need to be South American to enjoy guinea pig.
I mean, they're a different breed. Not guinea pigs.
Now, I do have something down here that you've absolutely said you love, and we've done it with a veg you love, but it's just a proper steak with sweet
Am
potato
I actually allowed
fries.
to eat this?
Yeah, that's yours to eat. So we got Jamie, the head chef here, who also shares a military past, has cooked you what you wrote on your questionnaire, because everybody who comes on answers our little questionnaire, and right at the top of it was steak. I don't think they gave you a steak knife.
They didn't, but
you're going to persevere.
We improvise.
Anyway. Yeah. Look at that. That's properly cooked, that, isn't it?
Mm.
So that is your go-to, is a steak.
Yeah.
I mean,
but not all the time.
He's given you a little posh fried onion ring with that. How's that stack up in the steaks?
I like it.
Yeah.
I love steak. I don't have it all the time.
Why not? Because you get a lot of those guys out there who sort of
I like to vary my
health and fitness and that kind of thing, and there's that kind of whole keto thing or caveman diet and all that sort of stuff. And there's those guys who appear to eat steak, swallow eggs, and drink beef tallow, and say, I'm in the best condition of my life. But, you know, having been in situations where you have pushed your body to the absolute limit in all sorts of scenarios, I don't think you could do that without a carb of some sort inside you. Or
my point with all those diets and you know, approaches to eating food are fine. Mm. And if they work for you, they work for you. But I try and go by the theory that that's not real life. Mm. You know, you've got to be able to understand that you need to have a balanced diet. And I'm waffling here. You could adopt that lifestyle, whatever it may be. But what happens when it's not possible? I do a lot of travelling. I'm very busy at times, and for me to say I'm not eating carbs or fibre or whatever is unhelpful. And then you'll start to freak out about not sticking to the plan, when actually I allow my plan to be flexible, and I enjoy other food as well. So I don't think I'm in bad shape, considering I don't just eat meat. Yeah. But you know, I just think a balanced diet is much better for you enjoying life as well.
Because when you wrote about one of your best food memories, it was when you've been out on operations, you've been low on rations for days and days and days, and you came back and you and your squad emptied a shop of all the food that you wanted to eat. and then felt awful.
It wasn't
after.
great for us, no. It was, we spent about 7 days fantasising about food. And we were writing shopping lists in our mind. We were talking about it. We were talking about the fact that we're going to buy this, we're going to do that. And we went out and did it. And I remember at the end of my bed, I had a metal box that I kept all my kit in at the time. And on top of it was all this food. I had a bottle of Baileys.
That's Johnny's favourite.
And every now and again, he'd go and make a cup of coffee and just pour a load of Baileys in, or just swig from the bottle.
He has that for breakfast every morning. I think he needs to talk to somebody.
I've got a very good friend who's exactly the same as you. Baileys and honey. Anyway, yeah, we sort of went to the shops, and never go to the shops, a supermarket, when you haven't eaten for 7 days. It's expensive, and you buy utter and we ate it, and honestly, my guts were in tatters.
You're a self-confessed terrible cook.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, but when you're out on manoeuvres and you've got to eat,
yeah.
What were the rations like?
The steak knife thing not working.
Yeah.
The rations were...
It is actually really tender, that steak, but that's a butter knife.
Yeah, I was just saying, this is what you open letters with. So you get a 24-hour ration pack. Mm. If you're going out in the field for 10 days, you'll get 10. You've got to break them down, so you get rid of all the rubbish, all the sort of the packaging. Within a 24-hour pack, you'll get 3 boil in the bags. So that'll be normally a breakfast, a main meal, so an evening meal, and a pudding.
And those are those clever things that you just click the thing in the bottom of it and it heats it up?
No,
or do you have to light it?
It's a silver bag with wet
water.
food in it. And you have a stove with a pot of water, you boil that up. It gets hot, it gets lukewarm. Mm. And then you can use the hot water for a hot drink afterwards. But you'll have, like, for lunch, the lunch part of the ration pack is normally snacky. So you'll have like what they call biscuits brown, which are disgusting. It's like cardboard. And I think it's designed to block you up, to stop you going to the bathroom too much.
Yeah. Like aeroplane food.
Exactly. And then you might get some Primula cheese spread in a tube, or some dodgy pate that you can dip in and eat.
So, but I suppose when you're in that environment, you're still grateful for that food.
I still loved it.
So you wouldn't necessarily describe yourself as a gourmand, or do you think your palate has developed and changed?
I feel like I am, but I'm like a chameleon within the food world. I can flick-flack between good and bad food. You used to take with you, so what doesn't come in the rations packs, condiments really.
Right.
So lads I'd have a bottle of Tabasco in one of my pouches.
It's the save all Tabasco.
Yeah.
In particular, I am a fan of green Tabasco.
That's the jalapeno one, isn't it? Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, we use it. It's like food repair kit.
Yeah.
So when the food's terrible, you can repair it with sauces. And I'm going through a phase of loving. I still do it now. Maggi sauce. It's like a seasoning. Yeah. Everyone says it's bad for you, but I don't think it is. I'm not sure.
We'll have to look at the ingredients list.
It's got MSG in.
MSG is much maligned.
I know.
There's a friend of mine who, Neil, who's an excellent chef, and we actually have our other company together, which is Simplicity Foods, and we make plant-based foods. He says to dislike MSG is inherently racist.
I think I've heard, I can't remember where I read it, that it was some salt company that dissed MSG and said it was bad for you. Then because actually, if you use MSG properly, you can reduce the amount of salt that you put in something. Yeah, because it's a flavour enhancer. So yes, he believes that it is that whole thing where people go, "Oh, Chinese food, it's full of MSG." No. So his take is it's inherently racist, blaming the Chinese. Yeah, I think it is. I agree with.
Now, we're getting to that stage. I don't want you to fill up too much.
No,
because I've got some spoons for you.
I'm like a dog. If it's in front of me, I'll eat it.
All right. I'm going to move that out.
My weak link.
I'm going to move that slightly out of reach for a minute and pop that over here. because we got to that time. Now, this is something you get to do to people all the time on SAS Who Dares Wins, and I get to do it to you, which is put a blindfold. The only difference is...
Did this to the other person that doesn't like guinea pig. Helen Skelton came on the show.
Yes, she did, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it.
She was impressive for someone so small.
Yeah, no,
I watched her pick up Tony Bellew in a fireman's carry and carry him.
That's a lot.
Former world cruiserweight champion.
No, I mean, she is tough. She is tough. But yes, if you wouldn't mind popping on the blindfold, I promise not to take you into a room and shout at you.
These are nicer than the ones that we give to the
yours. I mean, I think maybe you should think about using those on the next series.
Ours look more industrial.
They're equally efficient without the sort of scary bit. But I suppose the whole thing is scaring people.
Yeah.
So, obviously, this is not your first time being blindfolded.
No.
But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide a little spoon of something over here, and we get to have your first spoon. Okay, so I'm going to feed it to you, and what I want you to do is tell me about the textures, the flavours, what you're experiencing. So open wide, it's right there. Tried to give it a cheeky sniff before it went in there. Tell me what you've got there.
Oh, it's coarse, sort of. Sweet. Mm-hmm. There's peanut butter involved, which is a big favourite thing of mine.
What were we giving you there? It was on your list of things that you said you loved.
That's a peanut butter blondie.
It is. Take the blindfold off.
That was a treat.
Beautifully crafted by my good lady wife.
Was
who
it?
An excellent baker. She made those for you.
Wow, fair play.
And in fact, down here, I've got a whole box of them for you.
For me?
For you to take home.
That's awesome. How do I return the Tupperware?
It's fine. As you can see, it's a slightly old
Which is-
Tupperware.
No, I know,
She goes, am I going to get the Tupperware back? Because she's quite protective of my Tupperware. And
I'll
I
give it-
said,
I'll drop-
probably not. She
drop
went,
it
all
off
right,
to-
you can have that one.
I'll give it to your next door neighbour.
Yeah, give it to Nick. But there you go.
Well, I'm a big fan of Tupperware as well. I've got a thing about Tupperware anyway.
Do you want to discuss that?
Comes from being in the military. So when you've got all your kit, you always want to keep it waterproof. So certain
right.
stuff you can put in the pouches. You can get Tupperware that fits a pouch. And it's the lock and lock that are the best because it's obviously watertight.
They're great. Love those. Love those.
Anyway, going off on a mega tangent.
So you are known in part for putting people in blindfolds, and you know the huge success that has been SAS Who Dares Wins. Is it as much fun for you as it's? I kind of just there's a bit of it. I can't help feeling you guys are having the time of your life with these people, or is it? Or do you? How is it for you? I mean, there are certain guests that you have on that are very challenging, but you definitely make them aware that they're challenging. Do you love doing it?
I do love doing it. We do have a lot of good fun. It is a challenge in itself for us. It's hard work. It's a beast of a show to make. Like the producers and the directors and everyone involved puts in an absolute shift. There's a lot of people involved. Heads are butted at times, but it is good fun. It's tiring, long days, but we as a four have good fun. The people that come on it, not so.
No. But I mean, that is your job, to test them. And it was interesting, you know, when we were talking before about the different things that people eat, you know, when it is members of the public doing it, these are people who have probably trained quite rigorously, or think they have, before coming on the show. And it's a surprise to them what they've got to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like to keep myself in good shape, but I'm aware enough of the fact that when I watch that show that I couldn't do that. I'd have to train for about a year to be able to even get close to doing some of that stuff.
The best thing you can do to prepare for that show is to go and camp somewhere without a tent, and then every time you wake up, get into a puddle and do 100 burpees or something like that. Because it's about being cold, wet, miserable and tired And I think that's, people go to the gym and they train and they probably put in a massive shift getting themselves to a certain level of fitness, and then we throw a massive spanner in the works, which is being cold, being wet, being tired and not eating as much. And it's that properly screws people's heads up, and they never train for that bit. It's difficult to do that though.
But you'd think, now the show's been running a while, they'll have seen it, and but it is, some people, you can't help feeling are slightly deluded about their own abilities.
I don't think that so some people talk to people that have been on it before, and the people that have been on it before, and I know this because I've had people tell me this, the people that have been on it before are like that, it's horrendous, you need to do this, this and this is what's going to happen. And if you haven't been on it, you don't believe them. They're like, yeah, whatever. It's like a throwaway comment.
It's sort of like becoming a parent. People tell you how difficult it is, and you're there going, and then you have this kid, and it's terrifying, and it's stressful, and it's difficult, and it's all these things. Now, when it comes to the celebrities, right, they come in a little bit maybe more media trained than some of the people who appear on it.
Yep.
And it seems to me you go to a little bit of extra length to try and crack that part of them. Is that deliberate, or is it just something that happens?
It's not deliberate because they come in with the media training, which is frustrating because they come in with a barrier and they've been taught to put a barrier up, but the barrier is not helpful for them because if they keep that going, they don't really find out what they're actually capable of. And so we needle into them a bit more to get that. In fact, I'd suggest it's impossible to keep that media trained barrier up because it's just relentless. It's a war of attrition.
Unless, of course, you're dead from the neck up like Matt Hancock.
True, but I still think it didn't work for him though.
No,
he didn't pass, and he didn't pass because we didn't trust him.
It's funny. I don't think anybody else does.
Do you know what? I don't think we're that clever. It took us 10 days to run him through that to come up with that conclusion. When I was at the end of it, why are we surprised?
Who is the celebrity you've been most impressed with?
So it was and still is, not the most now because he's been pipped, but Wayne Bridge came in as a wild card on the very first Celebrity one. Yeah. Which is fair play. There's a lot of balls, I'd say, that is required to come on something that's never been done before, a celebrity version of the show. And he did amazingly. But
an athlete.
But an athlete, exactly. So the reason that there is a person that has pipped him is because I was expecting nothing from this individual. And it was Gareth Gates. And he was phenomenal.
But you think about what he's overcome as an individual. Yeah. There must be a kind of base bit of granite to that guy that would serve well in the areas that you were talking about, where it's not necessarily about the physicality, it's about what goes on up here.
Exactly. But then he was fit. He was unbelievable. But I'd never really paid much attention. I obviously knew who Gareth Gates was, and from years ago when he did bits and pieces, and then there was stories of him and Katie Price and all that. That's all I knew. Didn't expect much from him because didn't really pay him much attention, and then he was there, and I was like, wow, a worthy winner.
Is there anyone in the public eye who you would love to see do it? You think, I'd like me and the lads to get my hands on them and see how good they actually are.
I mean, it's never going to happen. But old Piers gobs off a lot, and he always fancies himself.
Piers Morgan.
But he'll never. I know he'll never do it, and it would. But it would.
I don't know if the price is right.
Well, if the price, I know, but mate, come on. He's going to command a figure because he thinks, that he should do, and he would, and he deserves to. But it would be a coup to have him on.
Yeah,
a lot of people would watch it,
and I think a lot of people would like to see you guys put him through his paces.
Probably.
Say
probably. He'd probably do quite well, minus the fitness.
Because for me, in the age of the reality show, it's the one that I really love watching, because I think it covers so many different levels of what a person is. And it's, I mean, of course, there's an element, like with any TV, of production in it.
Yeah.
But it does get raw and real. Like, you know, for example, when you ask them to knock 7 bells out of each other.
Yeah, that's not produced. That's just literally... No. The only bit that's produced is when we pair them up. And that's us producing it, because we're like, well, they've been close, they hate each other, you know, that's how we do it. But ultimately, yes, it's a TV show, of course it's produced, but we put a lot of time, and everyone puts a lot of time and effort into it beforehand, so that when the cameras start rolling, it is a continuous, we're just running a course. And actually, we're running it for the people that are taking part. We're doing it for their experience. The more authentic it can be, the better experience they'll have. And even things like the camera teams are briefed up on don't be seen, apart from unless you're actually in someone's face, but don't be seen, stay out of the way. You know, the AP, the assistant producers, they're tucked around, so it feels like they are immersed in a real life course, I suppose. Yeah, it's it's funny.
Is there another series coming?
So we filmed one last year. It hasn't gone out yet, so that is to go out soon, maybe September, October time, so after the summer. And we are going to go away and do another one in a location to be disclosed at a later date.
Well, we'll all look forward to that and seeing you. But it's nice to sit on your sofa and see other people go through pain.
That's awesome.
Now, you had an interesting set of answers on your questionnaire, because, you know, we asked people about their favourite food moment and their worst food moment, and it involves the same thing, which I've got down here.
I haven't had
which
this
is
for a
this,
while.
which is a lemon meringue pie, which the pastry chef here has made for you, and it is an impressive lemon meringue pie. That. Do you want to get stuck in?
Yeah, 100%. The problem is, this is the problem with lemon meringue pie, is my eyes take over. Look, it's a beautiful looking thing. It tastes great.
Now, you've said obviously this has a great childhood memory for you, eating lemon meringue pie, but it also has a horrific one because you ate too much of it once and made yourself very sick.
I'm a big fan of lemon meringue pie. I haven't had it for years.
Well, there you go. Let's see if it.
Loved it as a kid, and then there was like, I think there was like 2 or something in the fridge, like family lemon meringue pies, and I boshed them both. And I incapacitated myself. I can remember that my dad had to carry me up to bed like a kitten, and I felt it was the worst feeling, like this feeling of wanting to be sick but not being sick. I was just full up. Like if you'd put more food in my mouth, it'd have just fallen out. It was,
Let's see how it goes. Bring back those memories. Right. I'm getting you're liking that.
Yeah. It's in a cracking job.
It's a proper lemon meringue pie, that, isn't it?
That's awesome.
I mean, it's a Mayfair lemon meringue pie. It's very refined, but delicious.
See, even the pastry's like high class.
Yeah. It's all high class here at Mayfair.
It's not like the shit I got sick on all that shit.
Tesco's own brand.
They got blue stripes.
It is time for your second spoon. So I'm just going to move. You can have your lemon meringue pie back, but I'm just going to move it out the way for now.
Right.
Got that on secure. Can't see anything.
No.
Here comes the other spoon. Right. Open wide. In it goes. What have you got there?
That's disgusting. I'm not convinced I know exactly what it is, but it's got peas in it.
Yes, what the hell is wrong? Take your blindfold off. What the hell is wrong with peas, man?
I don't. What is that?
That is the Mount Street restaurant pea risotto. It's a delicious thing. What have you got against peas?
They're a pointless exercise. Chasing them round plates.
Well, You don't have to
No,
chase
no,
them
that's-
round.
no,
They're
it's
held
made it-
together by rice.
It's made it easier.
Because you you had a long list of what was, quite frankly, normal vegetables.
Yeah, normal veg.
You don't like normal veg. Peas, chopped
Give it the
carrots, Brussels sprouts.
Sprouts I can't stand.
I love a sprout.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Can't stand a sprout. They're just a giant pea. You got to chase it round. If not cooked properly, you're chasing it for ages.
No, you don't want a raw sprout. Although raw sprouts shaved over, like, say, for example, a seared scallop with a bit of bacon, bit of shaved Brussels sprout over the top. Very nice.
I wouldn't even. Do you know what? If someone served that up to me, I probably wouldn't even notice, and I'd eat it and think it was amazing.
Well, that's the whole point of this. We blindfold you, but you knew that was a pea straight away and didn't like it. You're saying you wouldn't. You're saying you wouldn't have the second spoon.
I think it was the texture that shocked me, and then I knew it was a pea.
So you don't like risotto either.
I don't mind risotto.
Oh, you got pea risotto there. Can't tempt you to the second spoon.
I'll go again.
Look at that. You see, because Jason Fox is willing to challenge himself.
But what else is in it? There's something
Rice,
else in there.
Parmesan,
Cheese, yeah.
cheese. Hold on, what's wrong with cheese?
No, nothing wrong with cheese.
Okay, just a slight tone to it, cheese.
No,
there.
no, yeah, I know.
Here, look, I'll give you your lemon meringue pie back. But well done for having your second spoon.
Didn't get offered the second spoon of the peanut butter
Well,
blondie.
you got a whole box of those to take home.
I know, yeah.
And what inspired you to write this book?
Right. I did my first book, Battle Scars, which
Yeah.
was a biography, basically. My journey. And after doing that, I did Life Under Fire, which was almost like the theory of how I got through that journey. So
Yeah.
you had a case study, you had the theory. And then we've basically done a trilogy by accident. It's not a proper trilogy. But I really loved the experience of writing books. I do have a guy called Matt Allen, who is the guy that does all the hard work. He's the writer. He makes what's in my head understandable. And I love me and him doing stuff together. The publishers are brilliant. It's been a seamless experience each time. And I was like, I want to do another one. And he said, oh, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I suppose it's got to be about, what my take on life is. And essentially, I actually wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be a pack of cards, not a book.
Right.
I wanted it to be, life broken down into life like a pack of cards, 4 suits and 13.
It's potentially a nice bit of merch to go with this.
Well, that's, yeah. I
said that. We'll have a word with it.
Yeah. And then it could be, you could see, people get something and it's visual. It's like you've got a bit of artwork.
But it's also in a format that people will digest.
Exactly. Anyway.
As you talk about with the phones, people's attention span is so limited now. Certainly younger people.
You've got a card with a bit of writing on, but it's useful.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Or even, word to the public, even an app.
Yeah. So, took the idea, and they were like, shut up, you're writing a book. But all we've done is put that idea into the book. So there's still 4 suits, they're called parts. And then the chapters are the tactics that represent a card. And we had a right laugh doing it. That's my most favourite book to have done.
It is great, I have to say.
Yeah, it was. Mate, honestly, it was really good. And I obviously record the audio, and I loved doing that. I found the audio book, recording it for Battle Scars was a mission in itself.
But do you think that was so personal and so about the
being
past?
vulnerable?
Yeah. But this is about essentially living in the solution.
Yeah.
Rather than the problem.
Yeah.
Which it's only until you realise you're in the problem do you start seeking out the solution, which I think where we have a commonality is that desire to do that came later in life. I mean, I stopped drinking and taking drugs over 30 years ago, but it was a process of making endless mistakes. Because what I picked up from this as well is, despite all your training and all the discipline that was given to you by the army, you've learnt from the errors rather than the successes.
Yeah.
And I think as a man to understand that that is the process. You learn from your mistakes, not your successes.
They're the only things that you ever remember.
Yeah.
So you might as well use them in a positive way.
Yeah. And then, but also that thing of, I like the title Embrace the Chaos, because what it does is conceptualize that thing of walk towards your fears, walk towards your negative emotions, embrace them. And you'll find yourself on the other side knowing a bit more.
Yeah.
But there are some really good tips and guides throughout it. And
I wanted to call it something else.
what did you?
I wanted to call it Remember You Will Die.
Wow, that's
It's in there.
That's the section that I love, and that was a key thing of, like, you know, the one definite in life is the thing that we fear
The most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen to all of us. And there's a fantastic author, a guy called Michael Singer, who wrote a book called The Untethered Soul, and it sold over 3 million copies. And he's got a section in it of, you know, death is the great teacher. So, in its basic principle, it's like, you've got a week to live. What's important to you?
Yeah.
And you go, it's family and friends. So why aren't you living like that every day?
I know, yeah.
You know, we get so consumed by our phones, by pursuing wealth, by pursuing status, all of these different things. And it's like, you'll lie there, you're about to pop your clogs, and none of it matters. And I like the way you touch on that in the book, and I think that is an important message for anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're a middle-aged man or a teenage girl. That's an important message. It's like, what is important to you? Because we get so lost in it. I mean, today, what's important to you now? Having sort of stripped away a lot of the rubbish, what's important to you?
What's important to me is, personally, I want to be happy by helping other people. That's why I set up with my friend Rock to Recovery, which is the organisation that you alluded to earlier. And I think that's why I talk about my vulnerabilities, in the hope that it inspires other people to embrace their vulnerabilities, and in turn finding out a little bit more about themselves. I think that's it. If everything else fell away, I would still be doing that.
Well, I wish you every success with doing that. I think you are a fantastic role model. I think the book is great. I think it is full of so much stuff that I agree with how we should be living. So I hope it turns out to be another bestseller for the author who failed at school.
I know, yeah. My English teacher would be like that. There's no way he's written a book. Three
bestsellers as well.
Yeah.
But it's been fantastic to have you on. I hope you've enjoyed the experience.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And
even the P experience.
Yeah. And the book is now available now, so go buy it. That is all for this week on Spooning with Mark Wogan. Next week, we will be joined by another very special guest who will be taking on the spoons that they think they love and the spoons that they think they hate. Until then, a massive thank you to Jamie Shears and the team here at Mount Street Restaurant. And of course, you lovely people at home, stay beautiful.